What if the most dangerous threat to your heart wasn't something obvious like a heart attack or stroke, but something you've been doing every single day without even thinking about it? Something so ordinary, so repetitive, that it never raises a red flag. Until it's too late. I'm Dr. Eric Topol, a heart specialist and researcher who spent decades studying the aging heart. Over the years, I've seen hundreds of patients over 60 walk into my clinic, smiling, chatting, feeling just fine, only to walk out with a diagnosis that changed their life forever: high blood pressure, blocked arteries, or worse, signs of an impending heart failure. The tragedy, many of these outcomes were preventable. Take Margaret, for example. At 68, she was active, independent, and proud of her daily routine. But what she didn't realize was that a few small choices she made every day, skipping her meds, occasionally eating a little salty snack here and there, watching TV late into the night, were slowly pushing her heart to its limit. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way she could feel, but silently, consistently, and dangerously. And that's the real threat, the habit of ignoring small daily risks because they don't feel urgent. In this video, I'm not just going to name that silent habit. I'm going to show you the 10 most common fixable mistakes I see in seniors' habits that are damaging your heart, even if you feel fine right now. The good news: you can change all of them starting today. Walking isn't just a simple form of movement. It's one of the most powerful forms of medicine your heart can receive, especially after the age of 60. Yet every week I see patients who tell me the same thing: I don't really move much, but I feel okay. And that's exactly the problem. The danger doesn't come from how you feel today. It builds in silence, step by step, or rather from the lack of steps. When you stop moving, your blood flow becomes sluggish, your metabolism slows down, and your arteries begin to collect the very plaque that leads to heart attacks and strokes. I think of James, a 72-year-old retired teacher who came in for a routine checkup. He didn't smoke, he ate decently, and he felt normal. But he spent most of his days sitting watching TV, reading, or napping. His tests showed early signs of heart failure. Why? Because his heart wasn't being used. It wasn't pumping against the rhythm of a walk or being challenged by gravity. It was coasting and slowly weakening. The human heart was designed to move. Just 30 minutes of walking a day, 15 in the morning, 15 in the evening, can cut your risk of a heart attack by nearly half. And no, you don't need to join a gym, buy fancy sneakers, or track every step with an app. You just need to move. Around your block, in your backyard, through a grocery store. The act of walking improves circulation, lowers blood pressure, balances blood sugar, and even lifts your mood. It helps your brain, your lungs, and your sleep. But more than anything, it keeps your heart alive, not just beating, but thriving. Don't wait for chest pain to start walking. Walk now so you may never have to feel it. ChatGPT, John Noy salt is silent. It doesn't sting, it doesn't burn, it doesn't hurt until it does. Most people over 60 think the salt they sprinkle on their food is the problem, but in reality, the most dangerous salt is the one they never see: the salt hiding in canned soups, processed meats, breads, pickles, sauces, and frozen dinners that seem harmless or even healthy. I've had patients come in with blood pressure so high it should have landed them in the ER, and yet they felt completely fine. No pain, no warning, just decades of quietly elevated sodium intake that slowly increased their blood volume, strained their arteries, and stressed their heart with every beat. Take Eleanor, for example. At 70, she prided herself on eating small portions and avoiding fried foods. But her pantry was stocked with prepackaged meals, deli meats, and light canned soups. She didn't know that a single serving of her favorite soup contained over 900 milligrams of sodium, more than half the daily limit recommended for someone her age. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 100 or 500 milligrams of sodium per day for seniors, which is less than a single teaspoon. But most older adults consume nearly twice that amount without realizing it. And over time, this leads to the hardening of arteries, chronic high blood pressure, kidney strain, and even increased risk of stroke. But here's the good news: your taste buds can adapt. Within 2 weeks of reducing salt, your palate adjusts and food begins to taste normal again, only this time without the damage. Season your meals with herbs, garlic, lemon juice, pepper or vinegar. Cook at home more often. Read the labels. Switch from salted to unsalted nuts. These are small changes, but they're life-saving ones. Because in the end, reducing salt isn't just about flavor, It's about giving your heart the quiet, steady relief it's been begging for. Breakfast is supposed to be the meal that energizes your day, not the one that quietly puts your heart at risk. Yet for many seniors, the first thing they eat in the morning is exactly what pushes them closer to a heart attack. Bacon, sausage, buttery toast, fried eggs, sweet cereals, and creamy coffee may feel comforting, but they are loaded with saturated fats, trans fats, sugar, and salt, an inflammatory cocktail that overwhelms your arteries the moment you wake up. What most people don't realize is that your blood is naturally thicker in the morning. When you add heavy, greasy foods to that equation, your heart has to work harder to push blood through stiffening vessels. I remember Mr. Daniels, a 66-year-old retired engineer who suffered a minor heart attack at 9:30 a.m., just an hour after his usual breakfast of bacon toast with butter and sugary instant coffee. His cholesterol was already high and his arteries were inflamed, but he had no idea that his daily breakfast routine was compounding the problem. This is something I see far too often in older patients. They believe they're simply eating what they always have, not realizing that the aging heart cannot tolerate the same stress it once could. A better breakfast doesn't have to be bland or boring. Oatmeal topped with berries, whole grain toast with avocado boiled or poached eggs, or a smoothie with fruit and almond milk. These meals fuel your body without burdening your heart. They reduce LDL cholesterol, stabilize blood sugar, and provide long-lasting energy. What you eat when you wake up sets the tone for your cardiovascular system for the entire day. Choose wisely and your heart will thank you for the quiet and steady support. Choose poorly and the damage begins before you even finish your coffee. For years, we've been told that a glass of wine a day is good for the heart. And while that may hold some truth for younger, healthy adults in moderation, the story changes dramatically after age 60. As we grow older, our bodies process alcohol differently. The liver becomes slower, our tolerance drops, and our cardiovascular system becomes more sensitive to even small doses. I've seen patients who thought they were doing everything right, eating well, walking daily, taking their medications, yet they were quietly undermining their heart health with just 2 drinks a night. One of them was Linda, 71, who came to me complaining of fatigue and irregular heartbeats. Her blood pressure was creeping up, and her heartbeat was erratic. When I asked about alcohol, she hesitated, then admitted to having 2 glasses of wine each evening to unwind. What she didn't realize was that even small amounts of alcohol were increasing her risk of atrial fibrillation, weakening her heart muscle, and interfering with her blood pressure medications. Alcohol also disrupts sleep, raises nighttime blood pressure, and contributes to weight gain and inflammation. For the aging heart, these effects are cumulative and dangerous. I always tell my patients, if you must drink, limit it to no more than 1 drink a day and not every day. And if you already have heart disease, the safest amount is none. There are other ways to relax: deep breathing music, stretching, warm herbal tea. Alcohol may numb stress temporarily, but it leaves a deeper mark on the heart than most realize. It's not about giving up joy. It's about choosing peace over pressure, clarity over confusion, and protection over routine. Because the heart doesn't forget the habits we repeat, even the ones poured gently into a glass. Snoring is often dismissed as nothing more than a harmless annoyance, something to joke about or gently tease a partner over. But for many people over 60, that nighttime noise may be the only warning sign that their heart is struggling in silence. Behind the sound of snoring can lie a much more serious condition: sleep apnea. This disorder causes your breathing to stop and start repeatedly during sleep, sometimes hundreds of times per night, each pause robbing your body and your heart of essential oxygen. Over time, this nightly oxygen deprivation forces your heart to work harder, raises your blood pressure, and increases your risk of arrhythmias, heart failure, and even sudden cardiac death. I think of Robert, a 69-year-old grandfather who came to my clinic complaining of constant daytime fatigue and memory lapses. He assumed it was just aging, but after asking a few questions, I learned he snored heavily, gasped for air in his sleep, and woke up with headaches. A simple overnight sleep study confirmed moderate sleep apnea. Within weeks of starting CPAP therapy, his blood pressure dropped, his energy improved, and most importantly, his heart was no longer straining all night long. The tragedy is that so many seniors live with sleep apnea for years without ever knowing. They feel tired, foggy, or emotionally drained, but never connect it to their breathing. If your partner notices loud snoring, gasping, or Moments when you stop breathing at night, take it seriously. Talk to your doctor. Sleep apnea is treatable with machines, oral devices, or even simple weight loss in some cases. But untreated, it is a slow and silent stressor on your heart. Quality sleep is not a luxury, it is when your heart repairs, resets, and recovers. Give it that time. Let your heart rest so it can keep you alive longer and stronger. Some people believe that staying silent in the face of stress, anger, or sadness is a sign of strength. They were raised to tough it out, to carry their burdens quietly to avoid being a bother. But the truth is, what we don't say often hurts us more than we realize, especially after the age of 60. When you bottle up your emotions, your body reacts even if your face stays calm. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline surge through your bloodstream. Your heart beats faster, your blood vessels tighten, and your blood pressure climbs slowly, persistently, and dangerously. I think of Harold, a 74-year-old widower who came to my office with symptoms that didn't add up: high blood pressure, despite good diet and medication, frequent chest tightness, and poor sleep. After several conversations, it became clear he had been carrying years of unspoken grief, loneliness, and financial worry. He thought saying nothing was the brave thing to do, but his heart was suffering in silence. Chronic emotional stress is not just uncomfortable, it's toxic. It can lead to inflammation, irregular heart rhythms, weakened immunity, and even heart attacks. The heart is not just a pump, it is deeply connected to how we feel, even if we try to hide it. If you're someone who keeps everything in, know this: letting it out isn't weakness, it's protection. Talk to a friend, write in a journal, join a support group, pray, meditate. Even 10 minutes of deep breathing each day can lower your stress response and give your heart a break. Peace is not passive, it's powerful. And sometimes the most life-saving thing you can do isn't a diet or a pill. It's learning to gently release what your heart has been holding for too long. We often think of smoking as a habit that mainly harms the lungs, but for the aging heart, every puff of cigarette smoke is like a direct attack. Whether you're the one smoking or simply living with someone who does, your heart feels the consequences. The toxins in tobacco smoke damage the delicate lining of your arteries, causing inflammation and making it easier for cholesterol to stick and form dangerous plaques. These blockages reduce oxygen flow, force your heart to pump harder, and dramatically increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, and sudden cardiac death. I remember Alice, a 66-year-old woman who had never smoked a day in her life, but spent 40 years living with a husband who did. She came to my clinic with early signs of heart failure. Her arteries were stiff, her blood pressure was elevated, and her shortness of breath was getting worse. Secondhand smoke had done to her heart what time alone could not. And yet so many people over 60 believe that if they've already smoked for decades, quitting won't help. That couldn't be further from the truth. The heart begins healing the very next day you stop. Within weeks, circulation improves. Within months, your risk of heart attack drops significantly. Your arteries begin to recover. Light cigarettes and vaping are not safe alternatives. They still expose your heart to harmful chemicals. If you're struggling to quit, ask for help. Nicotine patches, support groups, counseling, there are many paths forward. What matters is the decision to begin. The truth is, your heart is far more forgiving than you think. It doesn't hold grudges. It only asks for clean blood, clean oxygen, and one more chance to keep beating strong for you. Quitting smoking isn't just an act of willpower. It's a gift of time, strength, and renewal for the heart that served you faithfully your whole life. Late-night screen time has quietly become one of the most underestimated threats to heart health, especially for people over 60. Many seniors fall into the habit of watching television in bed or scrolling on their phones before sleep, thinking it helps them relax or feel less alone. But what feels harmless is in fact disrupting one of the most critical healing processes. The heart relies on restorative sleep. The blue light emitted by screens interferes with melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep-wake cycle. Without sufficient melatonin, your body struggles to fall into deep, restful sleep, the kind that lowers blood pressure, slows the heart rate, and repairs blood vessels. But it's not just the light. The emotional content we absorb, news, social media, dramatic shows, activates stress hormones like cortisol, keeping your brain and heart alert when they should be winding down. I remember Walter, a 73-year-old patient who came in with elevated nighttime blood pressure and irregular heartbeat. His diet was clean and he walked daily, but when I asked about his bedtime routine, He admitted he watched news channels for hours each night to stay informed. That constant stimulation was robbing him of the quiet rhythm his heart needed to recover. Sleep is not just rest, it's restoration. It's the only time your heart gets a true break from daily demands. I recommend turning off screens at least 1 hour before bed. Instead, try reading, listening to soft music, stretching, or practicing slow breathing. Small rituals can make a big difference. Protect your nighttime not just for better sleep, but for a stronger, steadier heart. Because healing doesn't happen in noise and light. It happens in silence, in darkness, and in rest. Give your heart that space. It's earned it. Fast food and fried snacks are everywhere, cheap, convenient, and tempting, especially when you're tired or not in the mood to cook. But for people over 60, every bite of these foods carries more weight than most realize. Burgers, fries, fried chicken, packaged chips. These aren't just indulgences. They're silent contributors to clogged arteries, inflamed blood vessels, and thickened blood, all of which force your heart to work harder than it should. I recall Frank, a 70-year-old retired mechanic who lived alone and often picked up fast food for dinner. It was quick, familiar, and he didn't think it was a big deal after all. It was just one meal a day. But over the years, that one meal added up. His cholesterol spiked, his blood pressure rose, and he ended up in my office with signs of angina and restricted blood flow. What many people don't understand is that as we age, our metabolism slows, our arteries stiffen, and our hearts become more sensitive to poor nutrition. The fats used in deep frying, especially trans fats, are among the most damaging substances for heart health. They increase LDL cholesterol, lower HDL, and trigger inflammation inside your vascular system. But the good news is that change doesn't have to be radical. Swap fried foods for grilled, baked, or air-fried alternatives. Keep healthy snacks like almonds, carrots, or fruit within reach. Choose a homemade soup over a microwave meal. Your food literally becomes your blood, and thick, greasy food leads to thick, sluggish blood that strains your heart with every beat. Every meal is a chance to support or sabotage your cardiovascular system. Choose the path that helps your heart, not hurts it. Because what you eat at 60 determines how your heart performs at 70, 80, and beyond. Of all the habits I see in my older patients, the most dangerous and sadly the most common is skipping blood pressure medication. Not because they can't afford it or because they don't have access, but because they feel fine. This is the cruel trick of high blood pressure. It gives no warning signs until it's already done the damage. I've treated patients who stopped their medication for just a few days, only to suffer a stroke or heart attack that changed their life forever. One of them was Carl, a 67-year-old who had managed his blood pressure for years. But after retirement, he began forgetting his pills or skipping them intentionally, thinking his healthy diet and exercise would be enough. When he showed up at the ER with chest pain and shortness of breath, it was already too late to undo the pressure that had been building silently inside his arteries. Blood pressure medications don't just manage a number on a chart, they protect the lining of your blood vessels, reduce the load on your heart muscle, and prevent long-term complications like heart failure, kidney damage, and stroke. If you're worried about side effects, don't stop talking to your doctor. There are many types of medications and we can often find the right fit together. Set daily alarms, use pill organizers, write reminders, make it part of your morning routine. It's not about dependence, it's about discipline and respect for the invisible systems keeping you alive. Your heart can't see whether you've taken your pill, but it feels it. Skipping medication is not harmless. It's a gamble with everything you built over a lifetime. And the tragedy is, it's one of the easiest problems to fix. Stay consistent, stay aware, and protect your heart like the priceless engine it is. Your heart has carried you through every season of life, quietly, faithfully, without asking for much in return. But after 60, it begins to ask for something more, your attention. The truth is, heart disease doesn't just arrive one day out of nowhere. It's built slowly, quietly through the choices we make or avoid every single day. Whether it's skipping a walk, reaching for processed food, ignoring sleep problems, or forgetting your medication, just this once, these habits add up. The good news is so do the healthy ones. One better meal, one short walk, one deep breath instead of bottled up stress, one screen turned off at bedtime. These small actions might not feel powerful in the moment, but over time, they are the very foundation of a longer, stronger life. As someone who has spent a lifetime studying the aging heart, I can tell you this. It's never too late to turn things around. Healing doesn't require perfection, it only requires consistency. So today, choose one habit to change. Just one. And if you need help staying on track, use tools designed for you, like the Senior Health Tracker app. Because your best years don't have to be behind you, they can still be ahead. Your future self will thank you. But more importantly, your heart will thank you.